Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. I always have sound issues sometimes with these headphones. Okay. So welcome to do apps and websites. My name is Amanda. I am a librarian here at the Iowa City Public Library. I am really into task management, which is the fancy term for making to-do lists. I have been really into the topic of task management for a number of years, like my whole professional life. And I'm always looking for what are the new apps that are being used, what are the new systems people are talking about. I've used a paper planner pretty much my entire school career, like all the way since middle school. I've had a paper planner writing down all the things that are due and when big things are happening in my life. And I've also used a bullet journal, and I will get into that a little bit later. But I am now pretty much fully a digital user when it comes to task management. I prefer my to-do apps, and I prefer it all to be on my phone, all on my computer. So that's what we're going to be covering today. I won't be necessarily selling you on certain apps. I'm mostly giving you an overview of some apps that are available to you. Everything is free, although there are a couple that you can pay for an upgrade or subscription for additional features. Also, I wanted to throw in an apology if you got 3 reminder emails about today's Zoom webinar. We are still trying to figure out why that happened. So again, we've reminded you plenty that you need to be here. All right, so I'm going to try to share some slides today. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay. Okay, can everyone see the full screen of slides? Stacy, are you able to?
I can see it.
It's not, you're not seeing the side view with all the additional slides, you're seeing my full slides.
No, I'm seeing the side view too.
Okay, yeah, that's what we don't necessarily want. No, that's not what I want. I don't know why it does that. We keep having problems with this. Let's try this again. Aha. Okay. Now can you see the full screen of slides?
Yep, full screen.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. All right, so let's get going. Now, will my mouse work? No. Okay. There we go. Okay. So the first question is, why are we drawn to lists? Why are you here today? You've got tasks that you can't forget, things that you need to remember. You have certain things that are due on certain days, and you need to remember when those are. A lot of the suggestions we got here on the screen, self-care, you just need to remember to take your vitamins. Or you heard about something fun to do, so you want to write that down so you remember to do it at a later point. We like our lists. They give you a focus, they give you a plan. If you have a bigger project with a lot of moving parts, you want to make sure you're tackling all the different moving parts, like planning for a trip. And let's not forget the satisfaction of being able to check off when you have completed a task, no matter how small. We very much enjoy being able to check off that we made our bed this morning, that we drank one of the 8 glasses of water that we're aiming for today. Whatever the task is, it's very nice to be able to check that off. But how do we come up with our system, and what are the different resources we can use for this system? So I am a huge fan of David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. Now, he published this book, I think, in the early 2000s and came out with an updated one in 2015, where he included a lot of digital things as well, putting that into a more modern age, because our tools keep changing for what we can use for our to-do lists. And he asked these questions in his book. Why are things on your mind? Why are you kind of going crazy and being stressed? He's like, you haven't clarified what the intended outcome is. You kind of have things you need to do, but you haven't gotten what the goal is with all those things. You haven't decided what the next physical step is. You know what you're doing at the end or what you want achieved at the end, but you don't know the steps to get you there. And perhaps you haven't put out reminders of the outcome and the action required in a system you trust. Maybe you've got a bunch of things on Post-it notes. Maybe you've got a list that you put on one of your notes apps on your phone. And maybe you've got a paper planner and you think you put in the right day for when you're going to the dentist, but you're not sure. You've got too many things going on and not a system that's all together that will remind you. And I keep going back to this quote, it will keep pressuring you about that untaken next step, usually when you can't do anything about it, which will just add to your stress. You're thinking about this as you fall asleep. You're thinking about it when you're waiting in line. You're like, oh no, I need to do that one thing. But if you've got a system you can trust and you've got a task management system that will remind you when you need it, then you don't have to worry. Then all the stress starts to go away. Maybe not all the stress, but a lot of the stress will be alleviated. So this is a very simplified version of his getting things done system. This is just kind of what I do with my to-dos. David Allen, his system is aimed at executives. And so he will go to their office. He describes this in his book. He'll go to their office and any task that needs to be done goes on an individual piece of paper and it gets put in the physical inbox, like this kind of an inbox. And then by the end, they've gathered all the things that need to be done. It's piled up high and they go through each one. They review it and they say, what do we need to do with this? And his system is, if you can do it in 2 minutes, do it. Just go ahead and complete it. Or is this going to take a little more time to figure out, or it doesn't need to be done for another month? You defer it, you schedule it. You put that in a separate file. Or you delegate it. It's not something that you need to tackle, but maybe somebody else has to tackle something before you can. So this is kind of just a way to view what the basic system looks like. Everything has a due date. That's kind of something I have for myself, is I don't put anything in my task management system aside from the inbox. And it's like, oh, I need to remember to get the ingredients for this recipe. And I can put that in my inbox, but I have to put a date to it and I have to put it in the right project bucket within my system, and we'll get to that. But I have to have everything with a date, otherwise it will be lost in that app. It will never be reminded to me again. So that's the important thing that I've always come up with. And even if I don't know when this needs to be done, but I don't need to think about it now, you can set a time, maybe a week later. It was like, I will revisit whatever this is and see if this is still necessary. And this is more coming up with a routine, coming up with a system. So, okay, maybe your system is you're writing down a phone number you need to remember, an appointment you need to remember. Maybe they're all on Post-its, but you put them all on a certain mirror or on a certain place by your phone, or it all goes in your paper planner, or in the case of what we're going to discuss today, in a particular app. Everything you need to remember goes into that app. So while I was doing research for this, I was also looking into the Eisenhower decision matrix. Now, this was President Eisenhower's system that he developed when he was over the armed forces and when he was president. This is what he used. And I think this is kind of a fun way, another visual of things, how you need to get things done. Is it urgent and important? Do it, get it done. Is it important, but not so urgent? Schedule it out for later. Is it urgent, but not important? Maybe somebody else can tackle it for you. And is it not urgent and not important? Why are you dealing with it? Put it away, delete it, get rid of it, move it along. And I think this is another good visual when you were coming up with things that you need to accomplish, is how does it fit in the Eisenhower matrix? Is it something that needs to be done right now? Can it be done later? Can someone else do it? Or is it not worth your time? And this is also, I know Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. He talks about this in his book as well. So why go digital? So like I said, I have been a big fan of task management and planning for a long time. And I had a paper planner with the little spiral bound that I used all through school. That's what I used in college. I discovered the bullet journal concept a number of years ago when that was a big thing. And a lot with the bullet journal, it's a paper planner, it's a paper notebook, And every day you write in a new date, today's date, and you write down as bullet points all the things you need to do. And there's maybe a system, you put a checkbox if it's a task, it's a bullet point if this is just a piece of information. There's different ways of handling it, but it's just a running log of what's going on in your day. And this is what I used for a couple of years. I really like this system, and this kind of trained me to what's on my mind, get it written down so I don't have to keep reminding myself about it. And it's kind of in a system so I can tackle it later. What I didn't like about it is it's not great for future plannings. As a librarian, as in any workplace, there are monthly tasks I need to do. I have monthly reports. I have things I need to do on a weekly basis. There are things I do quarterly. And what I like about a digital system is I can set those reminders out so I don't have to think about it anymore. It will just remind me on whatever Monday or Tuesday or 5th of the month when I need to do something that it's time to do this particular task. With a bullet journal, with a paper planner, I would have to remember to write it down for that date. So some benefits of having a digital system is it's always with you. A lot of us carry our mobile devices with us all the time. And so now you have your device and it has all your to-dos on it. And that's where you can put all of your to-dos. It's also accessible on a computer. If you work with a computer on a daily basis, that's a great way to have everything put together. You're not going to lose things. You're not going to lose that Post-it note or that ripped out piece of paper from a notebook with that thing that you needed to remember, because it's all in one place. It's visually pleasing. Another thing about the planner community, I don't know if you've seen a lot of YouTube videos or Instagram posts, people who are into planning, but they like to use lots of markers and pens and calligraphy and stickers and washi tape, and they get new planners like every quarter, and they cost like $40 at least. And they make those visually pleasing. That's not me. I have okay handwriting, but I don't do calligraphy. And I don't like spending my time making a piece of paper look pretty just to have like 3 things on it that I need to do. So I like an app that is clean, that I can easily adjust, that has a font I like, that I can use colors with to color code it, but not be too overwhelming. With a digital system, you can set your deadlines very easily. You can change those deadlines if you need. Some of the apps we're going to show you have set reminders so they can remind you when you arrive at a location. Maybe when you get close to Menards, suddenly your list for the things you need to get at Menards pops up and you're like, aha, all right, now I've got it all here. Or it reminds you at a certain time, you're going to be home and available to work on this task at 6:30, and your reminder pops up and there you go. You're reminded to do this certain task at 6:30. You can also share tasks with others. So if you're like, I share some tasks with my spouse, or maybe it's with other members of your family, or with coworkers, or whatever, working with an organization or a group, and you've got a group project together, you're able to assign tasks to other people so they can tackle things, this tasks that get delegated, but you're seeing that they're getting done. And everything is synced. Everything is updated in real time. So if you make an edit on your mobile device, then it shows up on your computer version of the task management app, and it's all there, and you didn't have to erase things or white out anything or get confused because you have it in 2 different places, but really it should only be the one. And it's not as expensive. You don't, again, like I said, like all of these apps are free, or at least have a free level. And you can spend anywhere from $30 to $40 for a yearly subscription upgrade for some of these apps if you want those features, but everything is free. So you're already on your phone, you're already using your computer. So this is just a free thing that you can use to make your life easier. So what are some things to think about when choosing what app you want? Think about the cost. Are there features that you want that they offer that are worth the extra $30 or $40 a year? What platforms are you using? Are you using an Apple computer? Are you using a regular PC? Is your phone an Android? Lots of different things to consider. Some of these apps work with no matter what kind of phone or computer you have. Some of them are just for Apple products, unfortunately. So there are different ways of approaching that. How do you want to share tasks? Do you want to share tasks with other people? How does it look? I have used every single app I'm going to show you. I have tested out every single one, used it for a period of time at least over the course of the last number of years. So I'm familiar with all of them. And I've landed on what app I use because I like how it looks visually. I prefer that look. How do you want to get your reminders? Do you want push notifications that show up on your phone screen? Do you want to get an alert on your smartwatch? Do you want to get an email? There are different ways all these apps handle that. With some of these apps is like, do you want them to show up in your calendar? Are you using a digital calendar already? And do you want your tasks to show up on your calendar instead? Usually that's best for just a few tasks, but it depends on how many tasks you have. So lots of things to think about. Feel free to ask questions as you are able. I will try to monitor chat and things, and we can address questions as they come up. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Talking about a couple of different apps. And again, I'm not selling you on any of these. I'm more just showing you what the options are available and the different things you can do. So this first group, these 3 apps are totally free and they already work with probably the things you already have. If you have an Apple phone, if you use Google Calendar, if you like using Microsoft Outlook, whatever, you might want to use one of these apps that's tied directly to it so they can talk to each other a lot more easily. One thing I will say is each of these, like there's also Apple Reminders and Apple Notes. There's Google Tasks and Google Keep. There's Microsoft To Do and there's OneNote. There are notes applications that go with each of these, but I'm focusing more on the task management. It's like writing down or noting down the tasks you need to do that you can very easily check off and can set reminders for. Notes apps can also work for this really, really well, depending on what works for you, but this is what we'll be focusing on. So starting up with Apple Reminders, I created a task list of home improvement as a demo. So this will be across the board. So this is what Apple Reminders looks like. And if you have an Apple device, this is native to your phone. This is what you have on your Mac computer. This is free to use. This is already set up. So this might be something you want to at least try because it's free. This will give you due dates. It will give you reminders on location. If you see on the second part where you can see the keyboard, right above where it says bedrooms, just happens to be where my cursor is. So there's a little calendar and a clock attached to it. So that's setting up due dates. Next to it is the arrow, and that's for coming up with reminders. If you arrive on a location, say Menards, and then suddenly your home improvement list pops up. That hashtag or pound symbol is for tags. Tags are a kind of subdivision of tasks, and I don't want to get too much into it because that can be kind of confusing. If you just need to write down, you have 5 things to do today, and you just need to write down those 5 things, that's great. And maybe one of these will work for you perfectly. But tags, and we'll get into that, I'll demonstrate that a little later, are kind of maybe you have a number of tasks that only take 30 minutes to do. So you give it a hashtag of 30 minutes. Or you want to, certain of your tasks are related to money or finance or their bills, so you give it the tag of bills. So you can highlight that. Again, just another option. It's not even something I use all that much. It's just one of the available features for you in a task management app. Also here with Apple Reminders, there's a little flag, a priority flag. So it's kind of, this is really important. So I want this to come up to the top of my list. You can also, the little camera there, you can attach a photo or a document. So I've got the cursor by measure the bedroom. Maybe I want to attach a photo of what my bedroom looks like as I'm working to redecorate the bedroom. So yes, I want to measure the bedroom, but here's a picture of what it looks like as well. With Apple Reminders, you can also create a task from your Apple Mail, your iCloud. So they integrate that very easily. One drawback of this is they won't show in your Apple Calendar. There are third-party apps that you can use that will take your tasks and make them show up in your Apple Calendar. So you can see, I've got a dentist appointment today and I need to get these things at the grocery store and stop by the post office. There are things that will do that, but it's a a whole other step, so it won't do it natively. And if that's important to you, maybe that's something to consider. Next up, we have Google Tasks. If you have a Gmail account, if you already use Google for your calendar or whatever, maybe this is something you want to do. So similarly, I have the two windows here of my home improvement project of various things I need to do. And on the second screenshot, I have measure the bedroom. So under that, you can see add details. So you can, maybe that's where you put the measurements of the bedroom, that can go there. You can add a date and a time of when you want to accomplish this task. You can also add subtasks. Maybe in addition to measuring the bedroom, as part of that, you need to measure, what is my bed frame size? What is the window size so I can get new curtains? Maybe you want to add those in there as well. They don't need to be separate tasks, but they are part of your task of measuring the bedroom. There's also a star at the top, so you can star a task so it will move to the top of the list. You can set reoccurring tasks. Say maybe rent carpet cleaner. Maybe that's something you want to be doing every 6 months. Maybe you need to be doing it every year. You can set a reminder in there to remind you on a certain day every year to rent a carpet cleaner. So that will show up. Google Tasks will also sync to show up in your Google Calendar. So if you pull up a Google Calendar and that's what you use to determine what's going on with your day, your tasks will show up at the very top of the window for the day. That can be really nice and that can be really annoying, kind of depending on how many tasks you have. So if I can set a task, only one task for tomorrow, I'll just have one little task option at the very top, and that's not too messy. So maybe that's all you need. You just need to remind it of this one thing to do on this day. You're already using your calendar, so that's what you're looking at already. You can also create Google Tasks from your Gmail account. There's a sidebar on your Gmail account that has a little check mark, and that attaches to the Google Task account that you already have because of a Google account. So there you can just very easily add, maybe you need to respond to an email or that you want to follow up on an email you got. You can add that to your task list very easily. Some drawbacks with Google Tasks: they don't have tags and they don't have like the timed reminders. Like I need to be reminded an hour ahead to do this thing. They won't be able to do that. And they don't have tags in the usual sense. But again, it totally depends what you want to use. This is just one of the options for you. And lastly, we've got Microsoft To Do. So if you are someone who uses Outlook, this might be a thing that you might want to try. If you're already using Microsoft products like Microsoft Word, this is something you probably already have access to and are able to use. So again, my home improvement project. And then on the second screenshot, I've got when you select measure the bedroom, you select a task. These are the options that come up. So you can add steps. Those are subtasks, but they call them steps here. So what are the different steps you might need as you measure the bedroom as you get ready to redecorate? It's got a remind me, so it will send you a reminder. You can add a due date. I need to do this next Friday. You can set repeat if this is something you need to do on a reoccurring basis every day, every week, every month, every year. You can add files. So if you have other ideas of what you want the bedroom to look like, or if you already have a file, a document that has all these dimensions on it, you can add that. You can add a quick note. Maybe that's where the bedroom dimensions go. And up sort of in the middle, there's an add to my day. So that's one of their versions of making sure a task is highlighted. I also see this as a bit of a drawback. So you can schedule everything in Microsoft To Do. But when you pull up, what am I supposed to do today? You have to select the things that are going to go into what I'm doing today. So it might have a due date for today, but that shows up on a separate screen. So I sort of feel this is an added step that doesn't need to be there. I'd rather pull up, what do I need to do today, and have those tasks there. But some people might find this really nice, is you get to start with a clean slate and you get to decide what you're going to do today. So it's, again, just another option for you. So again, all three of these, Apple Reminders, Google Tasks, and Microsoft To Do, depending on what kind of computer system you have or what equipment you use or what you like, these are all free. and available to you, and they work well with the software they're built for. So they work with your Mac, they work with your Outlook, they work with your Gmail. So any questions so far? Okay. If you think of things, let me know. I am going to do a demonstration later on of some other apps. These are just more difficult to do demonstrations for, but I will demonstrate some other to-do apps in a little bit. So this next little category is for specialized and shareable apps for grocery lists. I think this is probably a really easy way to get used to a to-do app and using that every day. So there are loads of apps out there, and I will keep stressing that there are loads of apps out there and they're always building new ones. But the ones I'm showing you are known, they are popular. If you ever need help with them, YouTube is a great resource. It will show you how you can use the different features. And this is just a very simple way of getting used to using your mobile device for a task list. So also, I have used both of these apps. I personally use AnyList, but my husband's family uses Our Groceries. So I have experience with both, and they work fairly similar. So this is what Our Groceries looks like. You can sign up with an email address, and then someone can also sign up with that same email address, and the account is tied together. So say you and your spouse have access to this grocery list at the same time. So you can share it. You can add images in here. You can add categories. You can see there's on the second screenshot, there's produce, and you can add like maybe frozen foods, or you can add, the bagged items, whatever. So you can separate things out so they're easier to find. A drawback of Our Groceries is they do have an option for recipes, but it's really just recipe ingredients. So that's something to consider. Sure, you can have your recipe for banana bread, but it's not going to give you all the steps and the measurements for it. It's just, I need to make sure I have flour, I have 3 to 4 really ripe bananas. It'll just give you that, but not the actual recipe. Something to consider. And you do need to upgrade. You need to pay the subscription fee to get rid of the ads. I think it's a one-time upgrade. I could be wrong, but if the ads bother you or they're too busy, you can pay to get rid of those, and it's a very small fee. AnyList works very, very similarly. You sign up for an account with an email, and your spouse or your other family member can sign up, add in that same email address, and then you have a shared account. You can divide things into categories, and it also has an option for recipes, but it can show the steps and the measurements. There are some limitations with the free version, so maybe it's something to test out to see if you like it first. But then you can pay the subscription fee either for a personal account or for a family account that's only a few dollars more. And then you can add photos of what things look like. You can add different stores. So you can have a grocery list here that has the condiments and dressing and the dairy products and the produce. Maybe you prefer to get your salad dressing at Costco. Maybe you need a lot of salad dressing and you don't like to bother with what they have at Walmart. So you can filter it. So it's like, I only need to get these items just at Costco or just at Hy-Vee. That's a way to use it. It also has in the paid version a meal planning options. You can determine, all right, well, this is what we're going to have for lunch for the next 4 days, and this is what we're going to have for dinner. So now I need to know what I need to buy. So it's a very robust app. And it also has the option of not just being a grocery list. Yes, you can have groceries in there, but as you can see by this example, you can also put in maybe a list of Christmas gifts. I have a packing list in mind because I frequently go out of town on the weekend. I want to make sure I have certain items that I don't forget. Or maybe there are other things you can make lists for, things you want to watch on TV. You can make other lists for it. So those are just a couple of options for you of things to, again, these are free. They just have options that are a little more robust if you pay the fee. That's all. One other thing I really like about having a grocery app is if you and a family member are at the grocery store together, you can split up and get more done at the same time. It will update in real time as you find the items. And then you suddenly find yourselves in frozen foods because that was the last thing on your list. If you use a smart device, like if you have Google Nest or if you have Alexa, you can work it so you're in the kitchen, you open the fridge, you see you're out of milk, you can say, Alexa, add milk to my shopping list, and it will add it for you. So that's kind of nice. You don't necessarily have to have a piece of paper on the fridge, taped to the fridge that maybe might be out of date. Maybe this is from 2 weeks ago and you got everything already. This will update for you all the time. Either of these apps works for that. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. We will continue to move on. So why might you need some more features? These apps work great, and they may be all you need to have a digital task management system. The things you need to remember get put in a system and they're there. Well, maybe you have a lot of different projects. I know I do. I have things that I do at work. I have things that I do at home. I have things that I do in my volunteer organizations. I have things I want to read. There's so many things, and it can be any range of things, and you can make it as niche and as narrow as possible, but maybe you just want to keep all your different projects separated. Maybe you do have a whole home improvement project that you're working on and it's going to take months, and you can have that all in one place as opposed to making your other to-do list way even bigger. Maybe you want to actively collaborate with multiple people. I remember a couple of years ago reading an article about how there are parents who in the business world who really like some of the task management apps they were using in the business world. The one that was mentioned was Asana, and that's used for project management. So you've got a project in there and you can assign different tasks to your team members, and you can all collaborate. Well, these parents were using that same app to delegate chores to their kids. So their kids will have the app on their phone, and they know, mom assigned them to empty the dishwasher tonight, or mom said, they make sure they mow the lawn on Saturday. And that's a way of using it. I found that very amusing. I don't know how successful that is with everybody, but that's another option for you. Maybe you have a church group or volunteer organization that has a couple of projects going on, and this is a way to keep track of everything. Option for you. You want to do more long-term planning. Maybe you need to plan out tasks that don't need to happen for another year, but you're easily able to do that and easily able to search for those tasks and remind yourself, yes, I already set a due date for that. We're good to go. And it's a lot easier to do that in a system that you can search and you can easily manipulate and change those due dates if you need to, but you know it's taken care of and it's in your system. Maybe you want more details added with your tasks. Some of the apps I'm about to show you, you can add loads of comments or notes. You can add different files to it. Now, yes, some of the free ones also will do that for you. Some of the free ones I just showed you. Kind of depends on what you like and what works for you. And maybe you want to easily access your completed task activity. Some of these apps will handle that differently, where you can very quickly see all the things you've completed. Some of them will only give you a limited view of how many tasks you've completed. Maybe only going back a week or a month. Why is that important? Maybe it isn't. Maybe you don't need to know. But sometimes it's nice to remind yourself, yes, I did do that task. In my professional life, it's nice to go through my task management system to see the tasks I've completed over the course of the month for a monthly report to my boss. I've used that before, and it's been nice to just, that's already recorded. I don't have to make a separate notation about that. It's in my task management system. I already did all these things, and I just need to put it in my report, and isn't that great? So there are just other options for why you might want a more robust task management app. So the three we're going to go over are Remember the Milk, Todoist, and TickTick. There are loads of these apps out there. There are loads, and they're always coming up with new ones. They're all basically the same. All three of these apps work very, very similarly. Some of the bells and whistles will be different, but I have used all three of these. I like all three of these for different reasons. One of them is the one I use personally, but I can see benefits for all of them. So again, the subscription, if you can try the free version of it, and they all allow you to try it for free, there are limitations maybe on how many active projects you can have, with your completed task history, maybe with a couple of other features. Maybe that's all you need. You just need the free version of it. But a subscription will cost you anywhere from $30 to $40 a year. And it really boils down to, what do you like? What works for your system? What features appeal to you the most? What looks good? And all three of these will work on Android. They will work on Apple products, on a PC. So that's another thing to consider if you're going across different hardware. So let me. All right, so let's share another screen. Let's see. All right, can you see my Remember the Milk screen? Okay. So I set up, again, my home improvement task list on each of these apps. And we're just going to walk through like how these work. So this is what Remember the Milk will look like. I have here my home improvement project, and I've got a couple of tasks already here. I want to highlight the inbox because I think this is a really nice feature all these to-do apps have, is this inbox. If you just need to quickly remember something, you can go in your inbox. If you know this will eventually go in your home improvement, but you don't have time in it right now, you just quickly put it in your inbox. The whole purpose of coming up with a system is making sure you're reviewing it all the time. David Allen and a lot of other productivity organizational experts will talk about having a weekly review. And that's when you clean up your calendar, you make sure that you're updated for the coming week, you go to your inbox, if it's this digital one, if it's a paper one, and you clear it out. You make sure everything is taken care of and in your system. So maybe this is something you just on a weekly basis, maybe on Fridays, maybe Sundays, maybe whenever, you go through your inbox and you clean it out. So here, I have this random task, read National Geographic, in my inbox. I don't have a date on it. I don't have a project with it. Is this something personal? Is this part of home improvement? Maybe not. Is this work related? I don't know. Maybe I should create another project of things I'm reading. Maybe that's something you want to do. So you can go in here, and we've got these options under Read National Geographic. So maybe I want to say, I want to have this done Sunday. I don't need to repeat it, but I'll wait till I get the next issue. Does this go in inbox, personal? We can also create a new one. My to read list. So now it's in a brand new list, got a date on it, out of my inbox. I have cleared my inbox. I have tackled everything. So that's something, that's a way you can use this. So if we go in to home improvement, if you see here, rent carpet cleaner. I have that set. I'm going to take care of that Saturday. I'm going to take care of that tomorrow. Here, it doesn't allow you to add a subtask. That is part of the paid version. So if rent carpet cleaner, and that includes, maybe you want to remind yourself to get the liquid, the fluid, the soap, all the things. Maybe you need to get a new brush, whatever. You have to add those as completely separate tasks and not part of this one task. And again, maybe that's what you want. Just saying that's an option. But you can add in a note. It's like, maybe you just want to, you know, there was a certain brand you like, you knew it was red, so you can just say, get the red one. This also gives you, close that out. Up at the top of home improvement, I've already measured the bedroom. So I can check that off. That has been completed. I can go, well, maybe it won't. Let's try that again. I said it's completed. There we go. That's completed. This works a little differently than the app. Now I can go under the tab for completed, and I can see I did that and at what time it was done. So that's nice. It was like, I did do that, and that's when. Research new couch options. So I added in some notes of some couches I was looking at. That's a way you can utilize this app. It's like, this is part of my research, and I'm just putting a couple of things that I found on a website that might look nice. So I'll share that with whoever I'm buying the couch with. And again, on the sidebar, so we've got a place that has all your tasks together, no matter what project. We'll say, what are you doing today? I don't have anything listed today. What am I doing tomorrow? All right, rent carpet cleaner. And then later this week, and I've got a couple of things already set for what I'm doing later this week. Given to others is part of sharing, and I haven't shared this with anybody because I don't know anybody with a Remember the Milk account that I can share this with, but that's where that would show up. And then things that you've, again, discarded for whatever reason. Maybe it was part of that Eisenhower matrix and it wasn't important, it wasn't urgent, so you just deleted it. But it'll show up there if you need to go back. So then we've got different options for lists. I think with all of these, you're limited with how many active projects you can have unless you pay for the upgrade. Maybe all you need is a personal and a work project. You have things that you do at home and you have things that you do at work. Maybe there are things that you do with Daughters of the American Revolution, and so you can have a separate project for that. But that's really all you need, and you don't have that many tasks, so that's it. But you can add them all in there. Smart lists is something I haven't gotten into, and we're not going to cover that today. Contact, same thing. That's who you share it with. Tags, I don't have anything in tags, but perhaps I know certain tasks are only going to take 30 minutes. So I can go to home improvement. I know this will only take me 30 minutes. So I can give it the 30-minute tag. And maybe that's an option that will work for you. I've seen some people will use tags to say, these are tasks I will do in the evening, and they will have an evening tag. So they're not going to worry about it until after 6 o'clock. Or they'll have a tag for waiting on, and somebody else, they've delegated that part of that task to somebody else, so they can't complete it until they hear back from that other person. But they know they've done all they can do up to that point, so they put waiting on. Again, YouTube is full of videos and ideas of how you can utilize some of these features. And then, let's see, hang family photos. I can set a priority for it. I can set that as priority 1. So that shoots to the top of my list. And maybe 2 gallons of paint next in line. So then they show up in a tiered version like that. So it's a little more robust than just starring it. You can also give it priorities. So this is an option where you can move by 2 gallons of white paint to a different project, or you can give it other tags. Like, they've got loads of options that you can use here. So that's Remember the Milk. This is Todoist. Can everyone see this? Yes? Okay. Again, these all work fairly similarly. They just have slightly different looks to them, different aesthetics, a couple of different features. So here, I've got my home improvement project here as well. I've got my research new couch options. And when I click on that, I added in these comments of the couch options I was looking for, and they show up like these links. Maybe you prefer that. I can add a subtask. So I can add that. I can go in, that's a whole other task, and I can say, I'm going to do that tomorrow. That's a bigger priority, but not a big one. And you can add a tag. I don't even know what you'd add a tag for, but that's what that would look like. So then it shows up right underneath research new couch options, measure the window, and you want that as part of your couch options project, part of that task. Inbox, I've got read National Geographic. So you see, if you hover over it, it gives you the options to edit, to immediately set a due date, to add a comment, and then give you other options. So again, these all work fairly similarly. It's kind of just what makes sense to you, what looks good, what is the easiest for you on whatever phone or computer you're working on it with. So I can go here and I can say, let's move that to the home project. And aha, I can't set a reminder for this because I have to pay for that. So I can't be reminded at a certain time to do this. You can, though, add a time here. So you can say, I'm going to read National Geographic on, let's set that for tomorrow, at a time, 2 p.m. Cool. So I don't have any tasks scheduled for today, but if I go to upcoming, I can scroll down to what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to measure the window, and that's up there, but I've got a timed task at 2 o'clock. So those also show up. If I have a lot of tasks happening that day, these will show up at the top of that list. So I'm always reminded of it. Maybe you don't need this. Maybe you only have to do the 2 things that day, so you don't need all the bells and whistles with that. Just something to consider. Let's see. So I think we're pretty much getting all of these. One cool thing about these 3 apps that I'm showing you is you can email a task into them. This is something I've used previously when I get newsletters. There are newsletters I like to read from people whose writing I admire. And so I sign up for the newsletter, and I don't like reading it in my inbox because I'm trying to clear my email inbox of things. So I can forward it, send it to my task list. And then it will be a task that I will do maybe this evening, maybe later when I have time. I have therefore addressed that particular piece of email that I got. I have cleared it out of my inbox so I don't have to worry about it. And I will be addressing it later. I've scheduled when I'm going to do it. So that's an option for you. And I think that's a very nice feature. Let's see. Oh, and a way to add a task really quickly. I have it right here. So I'm in my home improvement project. Like that's the screen that's up right now, but I could also be in my today project. These are tasks I've assigned today. Add a task, and it already sets it for today. And it puts it in my inbox because it doesn't know where I want to put it. So I can say, add that. That's something I'm going to do today. But then I can decide I'm going to move that to home improvement so it's organized, but I'm going to do that today. So that's how quickly and easily it is to add in the task. And then this last one is TickTick. This one I've also used, and this has an additional feature that I think is kind of cool. So again, we're looking at my home improvement task. I have a tag for doing this. This one will only take 30 minutes. Research new couch options. I've already put in those couch options, those links I found on that one website. So I can measure the bedroom. So you can get the dimensions for the bedroom as you're measuring it. You can put it in this task, and that information will all be there. Along the bottom here, so I could move this task to a different project. I can have loads of options here. So I can make an additional list, a numbered list. I can italicize, I can highlight. They've got a bunch of rich options here for making your descriptions look like whatever you want them to look like. I can add in comments. Maybe that's different than how you use description or your notes. Totally depends on what looks good to you. And then here, there's other options where I can add a subtask. Measure the window. So I've now got another task list within my task. This one allows you to do it without the subscription. So you can upload an attachment. Maybe you already have a photo of what you're looking for. Add in the tags. This is an interesting one. Won't do. You won't do that task. That's more if you're sharing the tasks with other people. You just said, no, I'm not doing that one. You reject that one. That's another option for you. If I want to add a project, I can add the project here. I can change the color. Maybe I want that to be blue. Okay. And you can create folders of tasks. But I think, again, there's only a certain number of projects you can have with the free version. But if you have a bunch of different projects that are happening at work, maybe you want them in a work folder and they're all together, and then you can collapse it and not worry about it when you're at home. And then you can create it as a task list or a note list. Maybe it's like, I want to read The Atlantic, and it just adds it as a note. So maybe you're reading your monthly issue of The Atlantic and you come up with some ideas or some questions you have, and you can just add them in here. So this is another option for you as you're deciding what kind of task management you want. One other feature that I think is really nice with TickTick in particular is, well, this calendar view, I think, yeah, you have to have, that has to be upgraded, but you could have your calendar integrated here. But they've got a habit section. Now this is kind of interesting. So what's a habit versus a task? And that's kind of is up to you. I sort of view it as habits are things you want to be doing every day, but if you don't do it one day, it's not overdue. You just didn't do it yesterday. So taking out the trash, maybe I need a habit to remind myself to take that out Tuesday night. And it'll pop up within all the other tasks I have to do. But if I forget, I forgot, I'll do it next week. Writing in my journal. I want to write in my journal every day, but I sometimes forget. It'll just pop up the next day. But then you're able to see, you know, how often you're doing a certain thing. Maybe you need to be reminded to take your vitamins in the morning. I sometimes do, so that you can make that your habit. Or maybe I know a lot of people use a habit tracker as opposed to a task management system, because they just need to be reminded to brush their teeth in the morning and the evening. They just need that little nudge so they remember to do it. You can also track like your water intake or whatever. There's different ways to use it. Anyway, that's just a fun little addition to TickTick that's a little more unique. So I wanted to highlight that one. So that brings me to the end of talking about task management systems and different options you have. What questions do you have that I can possibly answer for you? Any questions at all? Let's see, do we have anything in the chat? Will we be able to view your slides after the end of this call? Yes, I think we will be able to send those out. So you will be able to revisit. I will send along the links to descriptions of all of these things so you can access that as well, and try them out on your phone if you want. Any other questions?
I'd like to say good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's a shame that they're all so similar. And in fact, from my own perspective, that my eyes glaze over when I see so much text.
Yeah. And that's why you might want to do a more simple one that doesn't have all that text.
Well, not me, but I want to talk to you about my thinking a little later offline. But I will say the minute that calendar popped up with all the pretty picked colors and the logic to it, I perked up. It seems like that the calendar is an organizational paradigm that brings some mental order to all these tasks that stay diverse in our minds, and of course don't get done. That's the problem with the diversity of tasks to be done, and they're all over the place for what's the word, for priority. So when I saw the calendar, I said, aha, look at that. Quick view. The red's probably the hot stuff I can't miss: doctor appointment, getting married, whatever the hot one is. And then there are things like you just said, take pills every day, which is something I would never put in a planning system, but it was still a good example. So you did a good job. I want to thank you for setting it up and being so well prepared to show all of us what you're familiar with. So I thank you, and I'd like to get in touch with you later.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'll send an email so you can email me back with any questions, or we can meet here at the library. Not a problem. There are loads of ways to handle task management, and using your calendar strictly is something that people do. So they will say from 8 o'clock to noon, I'm blocking off this time and these are all the tasks I'm going to do during this time, and it's all in their calendar. And maybe that works for you too. That is just a whole other system.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? Well, all right. Thank you all for coming. I very much appreciate it. Oh, Greg, did you have something? Or are you just waving?
Just clapping.
Thank you. So yeah, we will send out an email with the slides. I think this was recorded, so you can look back at it again. I would highly recommend, if you were interested in any of these apps, to check out videos on YouTube. You just search whatever the app is on YouTube, and there is somebody out there who has done a whole video on the basics of using it and different features about it and how they put it in their task management system. That'll be really in depth and probably a lot more useful to get that one-on-one almost with YouTube. But that's a great resource as you're exploring what your different options are. But yeah, if you need help setting it up on your phone, bring it by. One of our friendly librarians at the information desk will be able to help you sort that out and get you started, and make sure it's set up correctly. So thank you all and have a lovely Friday.
Thank you.